Welcome! You're listening to the Every Day is a New Day show. I am your host, Kim O'Neill, and this is the show that reminds you we live in a world of infinite possibilities. You are more amazing than you know. You are never alone, and the one with the power has always been you. I speak with awesome guests who have inspiring stories and tools to support you on your journey forward. Every day is always a new day, and your day's looking pretty bright.
Woohoo! Hello, everyone. My name is Kim O'Neill, and you are listening to the Every Day is a New Day show, and I am so excited to have you here today and to be able to speak with another awesome, inspiring guest today. Today, we're going to be talking about scary, awesome transitions. Yeah, seriously, why scary? Why awesome? Well, because change can feel really freaking scary at times, right? It can feel uncertain. We can sort of feel wobbly in, our thoughts and our emotions and just everything that's sort of, racing around us and in us. Maybe we're filled with doubts. Maybe there are those negative what ifs that creep up. But awesome, because so often when we finally take that step and make that change that we keep thinking about, that we feel called to make, despite what others might think, what they say, what they do, it liberates you. It liberates you. And that is where the magic happens. The freedom, the excitement, new opportunities that maybe you never even saw coming to you, new possibilities, all because you said yes. And so that is why I'm so excited to talk to today's guest, because he has so much of that wrapped up in his story, and I only know a little bit about it, so I am just as excited to hear more from him. And so today we are talking with Drew Bensen, and let me just share a little bit about him with you. Drew Bensen is an entrepreneur, an inspirational coach and speaker, a retreat leader. He's a software consultant, a content writer for Winnebago Life. He's also a full-time RV'er. And, to top it all off, he's a transgender human. He's got everything rolled up into one. And I find him to be just like the epitome of inspiration. So let's talk to Drew about scary, awesome transitions. So Drew, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's interesting listening to your own bio, but that was awesome.
And I kind of went off script a little bit because I had so much written, but I really had to, make sure that I grounded my energy before speaking to you, because I can just get so excited and just kind of go in all these different directions. So, okay, well, scary, awesome transitions. Honestly, so when I look at your bio, there are actually three things that stand out to me. There's the obvious, you're transgender, but you went from, having, say, I actually don't know what jobs you used to have, but anyone who's an entrepreneur, to me, that's a huge transition right there. Saying yes to doing your own thing and being your own boss. That's a huge, scary, awesome transition. And then also, you live full time in an RV. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So let me ask you, when you think of scary, awesome transitions for yourself, your own life, what stands out for you?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because, obviously, like you said, the big one was, changing my gender. That was scary and also awesome, but it's almost like layers. So I did one, okay, cool. So then it's not like you just have one change in your life and then you're there and you sit back in the lawn chair and retire. It's for me, it just kept going, right? It's okay, well, what next? What can I do next? So honestly, like it's so funny because when there's something big, typically it's scary. And I just
Yeah.
admitted, I suppose, a couple months ago to one of my, I am getting notifications that everyone's loving our Facebook. That's great. If you all hear that, sorry.
Woohoo! High five to all the people watching and listening.
Yeah, right. So I just admitted to like one of my best friend, my mentor, that I was doing. Basically, I decided to come out to the world about a month and a half ago. So I had this idea. It's a contract with the universe that I'm going to be more open and just decide to be more open to everyone. Can you hear those notifications?
Yeah, I can.
Really sorry. Yeah. So when I was doing that, I told my mentor, who I speak to every day, I said,
Okay.
I'm really, really scared. And she's like, what? You never seem scared. And, each transition is going to be, for me, like, I mean, they're scary. When they're big, when they're important, they're scary. So, for example, the initial coming out, or if you will, deciding that I was going to change my gender, of course that was scary. It was huge. I mean, I had to tell everybody and go through this huge process. And then, later, like you said, the full-time RV thing, that was also scary.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like, but it becomes not as scary, or a different kind of scary, I guess. When just the initial transition, of course, that was like, wow, are people, are the people I love still gonna love me? Those kind of things that are like really to your core,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like an emotional, what am I doing here? I have no idea what I'm gonna look like, feel like, act like, be when I do this. That is like, talk about the unknown. My gosh.
Right.
And then there's like you said, the entrepreneurial thing. Like, I've been doing that for over a decade, and that, I love being an entrepreneur. I love talking about that. I love everything about it. But I had to learn how to do it. I mean, not knowing where your money is coming from,
Right.
you're in charge of when your money is coming in, is scary. And then when you start getting, if you want to, not all entrepreneurs have employees, but when you start getting employees, then you're making sure that the people have their livelihood paid for. I mean, that's also, so I mean, like I said, you just kind of, it's not that the scary goes away. I think you just learn to manage it differently, and just I don't know. I can give you my theory on transitions. I think
please.
Yeah, okay. I think everybody has, in my opinion, everybody has a transition in their life, or multiple transitions in their life, to like crossroads. And not everybody, like I said, some people have many, some people have less, but not everybody will choose to, you get to choose how you're going to navigate that. And so
Hey, Drew.
for me, my
Hey, Drew.
transition, one of them happens to be transitioning from born female to male. But then there's other transitions that I've experienced, and I think that it's really interesting to just kind of sit back and look at that. And you could probably think of people that have gone through transitions that aren't the same as mine, but are equally as big, or even yourself, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what, Drew? Your voice is going in and out a little bit. I don't know if maybe that's from some of the notifications on your phone or something, or on your computer.
Yeah, I shut those off, so hopefully it'll clear up.
Okay, just thought I'd mention it. Okay. Wow. Okay, so you've been doing the entrepreneur thing for several years now, and you shared with me a little bit about your story, but I'd love for you to just share with the audience, what was growing up like for you? Like, at what point did you realize that you felt like a male inside a female body? And then when did you decide to actually make, more and more changes to fit that?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm 44 years old, so that should give a little bit of,
okay,
background there.
And
so
I'm
when I
38, in case anyone's wondering.
All right. So when I was very young, I was just being me, just like you were being you, and everybody's just getting through life, learning how to be a human. And I loved playing with Star Wars. I loved just doing, wearing jeans, doing my thing. Um, and then when I realized that I was like, I had really cool blonde curly hair that I hated, that everyone else loved. And,
Oh,
I wanted to cut it off. And, my mom was really cool. Like she let me cut my hair off. She just was like we talk about it now. She's like, well, I was just letting you be you. She got like every time they said, what do you, people said, what did I want for holidays? She would say, oh, Star Wars and Millennium Falcon and whatever. So I got to live a really cool childhood where I just got to be me. But there were things
nice.
that occurred that I realized, wait a minute, like I'm not allowed to be certain ways, um, like girls, or people pointed out like, oh, well, now she really does look like a boy when I cut off my hair, and those things, like, I never forgot them. So those things that maybe people say that they don't think is a big deal,
Hmm.
that's like what, 35 years ago, maybe. I will never forget that. I mean, it was like I still feel it. Like it was just like, why did you have to say that? Like, you know what I mean? I was just living my life. So I would say as a kid, I knew in my baby book, I don't know if I told you this earlier, in my baby book, I read through it and my mom wrote, that I wanted to be a boy because my dad came home late from work. And I wanted to be a boy. Like I made up reasons why I wanted to be a boy. So in
Okay.
my book. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, I think I had this discussion with somebody. I was at a conference last week and I had a discussion with somebody who said, oh, they no offense to the person we were just discussing this, but they said, the confusion or the mental, they're basically saying that the person who's transgender is having some mental struggle or is not, they didn't say normal, but basically something like that. And I said, well, hold on a second. As a kid, like, I was just being me until
Yeah.
people told me I was wrong. I didn't have like the heartache. I didn't have heartache. I didn't have struggle until people told me I was wrong. Like a child I grew up with, I think liked me and didn't like the fact that I liked another female, right? And so
Okay.
because they liked me, I was wrong. Does that make sense? Like, what do you care who I like?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Like you didn't see anything wrong with your situation until other people started telling you that you were, because that was based off their beliefs. Is that what you mean?
exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so, then as a kid, I just realized, oh, okay, well, let's be different. Let's, comply. I'm a rule follower, or like I'm a people pleaser, for the most part. And
Okay.
so I was like, especially when I was younger, right? So I was like, oh, well then let's not do that. Um, yeah. So basically, I knew very young, and then I just didn't, um, I didn't engage in like relationships really through. I mean, I had like they were more like friends really, but I didn't have like relationships or anything. And then when I was 21, I realized that, well, frankly, that beautiful feminine women could like other women, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gay. And so I'm like, yes, me. And so I moved up. I was in Southern California, moved up to Seattle, and for 19 years, or actually probably about 15 years, just stayed in the gay scene and had wonderful relationships with beautiful people inside and out, and but never quite right. And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't quite like my friends. And you know, um, I drank a lot, had fun, and just kind of thought about everybody else but myself. And then it just kind of got more and more intense where I'm like, why are you unhappy? Because I'm a very happy, positive person. I mean, it's just who I am innately. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
It
started getting
shows.
angry. Yeah, it's just natural. And I started getting angry and why is this not right? And I was in a relationship and it clearly wasn't working, and we split up, and I was like, I gotta figure out, well, right before that I was like, I have to figure out what is going on with me. And so I went to therapy and talked it out. And Yeah, when you realize something like this, or that you're gay, or that you're just something that's big, the way I say it is you can't unknow it.
Right.
So when it hits you, you're like, oh man.
Well, let's go back just a moment ago. So you initially felt like you were fine, you were just being you, and then when those other people started saying things to you and imposing their own beliefs and thoughts on you, did that create any new struggle for you, or were you able to just sort of naturally, let it roll off your back and keep moving forward and doing your own thing? Or was there anything you had to work through with any of that?
I think I just pushed it down and just didn't. I just like made excuses for her and just tried to like fit in. And I mean, it hurt me, yeah, but I didn't accept it. I didn't say, oh, inside I didn't go, oh, you're gay, or oh, you're this. I feel like I just didn't go through puberty until like 21. That's how I feel. So like it didn't really I mean, I did, but I don't feel like I did. So it didn't become like I was just well, basically I just focused on sports. Like sports were my life. And so I just redirected, I think, my attention, because I think it just would have hurt too much to like not fit in, or not to have people hurt me. I think it would have just been it would have been too hard for me. And I grew up in a city that is the name of the city is Azusa, and it has a Christian college there now, and it's turned into a college town. But it was a little bit it's a beautiful city to all my Azusa people, but it was a little bit rougher when I was younger, when we were younger, and so it was not accepted. Like even just to be gay, like that, people killed themselves. You didn't come out. Like that wasn't an option. So I knew that, and so it didn't even occur to me. It didn't even occur to me that I could become a boy. Does that mean on the outside? Like it didn't occur to me that was a possibility.
Well, it sounds like you had, at least your mom was fairly supportive of you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And were there other people in your life that really helped you, that were supportive?
So my mom was supportive of me because she just loves me. So she loves me. She's like my biggest fan. She didn't realize any of the other stuff until I told her, and then she had to like absorb it. But she's done a good job absorbing it and getting through, and being like, I'm really close to my parents. They've been together since the 9th grade. They're still together. I'm really close to them now, but it was a process to get where we are now. So
I bet. Well, so then let's go to that moment again. So when you finally realized that, oh my goodness, you actually feel like you're male, then what was that like? Like, was there something big that happened that threw you into that realization, or how were you able to realize that that's what was the thing that was maybe bothering you?
It was during the time that Chaz Bono was like coming out and being in the scene, and I was like, I was going to therapy, so I was figuring out, why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Why are you trying to like what are your issues? Like, what do I have going on? So I was doing therapy I love therapy. Like I have my therapist's first name is Nancy, and I think everyone should have a Nancy. I mean, she seriously like was just so helpful. I went once a week for like 3 years. But basically, when I realized it, it was like literally like a light bulb went off. Oh, but I think it's because I didn't want to face it. I didn't want that to be it, because that's a really, really, being gay is one thing, but I was like, oh man, now you're going to do this? Like, you just got your, everybody to like chill out with all that. And now, it's 15 years later. Now you're going to do this. So I think because I didn't see anybody that I could relate to, when I started to see people I could relate to, it became more real. And even though I have a couple friends who transitioned before me, who it's almost like I just I wasn't ready to face it. It was almost like the universe was like, no, you can't handle this yet. And then when I could, I got the light bulb. It's like,
Oh.
yeah, it was really interesting. And then because I mean, I was like 35 or 34 or 35 years old. So 35 maybe. And so, it was like, wow. And so I remember distinctly, I told my sister Tammy, who's like the biggest support system you could ever have.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and I was in Seattle at the time, and she was up in Seattle, and so I think we were living together, and she was like, okay, this is what we're doing, okay, and she had to understand it, but she was on board pretty quickly, because she knew as a kid, she's 6 years younger, and she just always knew. I mean, I had like a motorcycle, a dirt bike, I had an awesome childhood, man.
And look, when you say that she knew, did she like actually have the thought, oh, you know what, my sister, I think, is actually maybe a boy inside? Or do you think, did she always just, yes, that was it?
Yeah, she knew more than no one else ever said that, but she said she knew, but we used to tease her. I used to tease her. I still tease her. But she said that she never wanted to say it because she thought that we would tease her because she was wrong. But yeah, she's really intuitive. Like, so she knew.
Okay.
And I just didn't know. I wasn't ready. But I remember distinctly when I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I remember calling my mom, and I own a dog walking and pet sitting company up in Seattle, Washington. Okay. And at the time I was still in the field working. I was at I think I was house sitting or something. I was in a customer's basement, which is like totally not something I would have done. But I was like, it was the moment I had to tell my mom. And I called her and said, Mom, I got to tell you something. But, I'm afraid that, it was basically like, I'm afraid you're not going to love me. And I have been so brave. I have done all this stuff on my own, like being out with the family, like just being so tough and so strong. And I can't do this alone. I need you to help. I need you to help me with this. I can't make it. I can't do this without you. And I said, I need you to be a mama bear. I haven't needed you. And this is the first time I need you. And she's like, okay. And so I told her, and she was like, okay. I didn't know what that means or anything. But she's done so good. I can't even of course she has her struggles, and she had to work through it. And she still is working through it. I mean, it's a transition. It's like a process, right? But
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember, that was just amazing. And so. And then what's really fun is that I was in Seattle, and I had this company, and I had all these friends, like hundreds of people that are just amazing in my life. And I spent the next 8 months telling every single person I knew, either, in person, on the phone, as intimately as I could manage, or the best way I could do it. I made business cards with my new name on it. I threw a party. I invited everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Gave them the card, said, hey.
Uh-oh, Drew, hello.
So.
You know what, Drew, you cut out there. What was I can hear you now. What was maybe the last few sentences you said?
Oh, I just said I had a birthday party, and I invited everybody, a bunch of people, and I had business cards with my new name on them, and I handed them out and said, I'm changing my gender. Here's my new name, and yeah,
that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, people are really, just give them a chance. Give them a chance to step up. But it was exhausting. It took 8 months to do that. Yeah, and then I would tell every customer, because I was transitioning, so you couldn't quite tell what was going on. And so, but what I did was I decided that I had been angry right before that, because I was trying to figure things out. And I said, actually somebody said to me, you can either be mad about this or you could not be mad. And I was like, huh. And so I decided to not be mad, and I started walking differently in the world, and I feel like the world reacted. Yeah.
That's awesome, Drew. And I love the perspective that you had about all those that you were sharing this information with. It sounds like you remained very open to allowing them to experience this information in the way that they were going to experience it, because I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I had like really like one person kind of react somewhat, um, not not entirely awesome, but not
Okay.
horrific. But and they asked me, well, what do people say? And I said, I don't ask people what do they think. I don't go, hey, what do you think? I just say, here's some information, and we move on. And it's like, oh, I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a two-way. The only thing that's changed in that interaction is that you have information. I'm
Yes.
still rocking my world over here in my awesome life, and you just have new
Yes.
information, right? So, um, but there's also like there's a lot of there's a lot of patience involved. Um, and I just want to do a side note real quick that not
Yeah.
everybody has this experience that I'm talking about, and so I'm aware that not everybody has the I don't want to say like privilege maybe of having the experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
Because it is very scary, it is very dangerous to be transgender in the world in some places. So
What do you think helped you? What do you think might have contributed to your experience of all this?
um well, now I pass. So what that means is I look like a cis male, meaning a born male,
Yeah.
and I'm a white male. So like I pass and I just kind of blend.
Okay.
So that's one. I mean, when I was a butchie, so a lesbian, like a boyish lesbian, I'm just gonna translate my language.
It's okay. Yeah.
When I had shaved head and like pretty tough and stuff, like that's a hard life. That was I got stared at all the time. I got, there was altercations with people. There was violence. There was like, it wasn't an eat. Now I was also tough. I also would be like, I didn't want to be a victim. So
Yeah.
I had my part in some of those interactions, but that was a hard life. And I feel like life got so much easier now. For I'm sure a lot of reasons, but yeah, it's
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about the violence.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. It happened. Like I said, there were some things that I contributed to in some of that, but I so this is my take on this. Like, I vow to always to have some room for my sisters and brothers that are in that.
Yeah.
Whether some people aren't gonna, they don't want to transition, they're not transgender, but that are in that experience that. And even if I get, because sometimes I get I think, oh hey, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, you're not like I don't fit, like I don't look like I'm a lesbian anymore. Like I don't fit in the group. Like if I see a stranger or something, I'm like, oh, that's right, I just look like a white male, and I'm over here trying to say hi to these two lesbians who are like, who the hell are you? Who the heck are you? And so I have to remember to, I mean, not that, I mean, I have to, I want to remember, always remember to have room and compassion for that hurt, because not that every person who's lesbian or gay or not transgender, in that area is hurting. I mean, there's people that's not the case, but I'm saying for people who are, like, I always want to remember to have, love and compassion, because I'm gonna say, people said to me, when you transition, life's gonna be so hard. One person said this to me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Maybe, but it's not like it was cake where I was, So hold on a second, no, you don't. First of all, you don't know what you're talking about. And second, so I always want to remember that.
What really helped you to get through that time when you didn't just, look like a natural born Caucasian male? Like what helped you, and go ahead. Yeah, feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm really chill with words. Like you can even mess up my pronouns and I'm cool, but there will be some people who will want to use the word cis, C-I-S male, meaning non-transgender male. I know they're tricky words, but
okay.
So that's probably the term that would be most appreciated. So what was your question again, Kim?
You know what? And you reminded me. I meant to ask you at the beginning of the show. You know, if I say anything that does sound maybe, I don't know, maybe not somehow not appropriate or not accepted, then please let me know. To me, I only know you as a male, and when I found out that you had transitioned and you're transgender, I thought, are you kidding me? How much cooler does this guy get? And I say cool because you just continue to do things that, from my perception, reflect who you feel you are inside, and that is always a beautiful, awesome thing in any human being. And so anyway, so if I say anything that doesn't quite sound right, please feel free to correct me, or yeah, let us know, like, what is the terminology? You know, is there something that is preferred and that's something that's not preferred? Because I think a lot of us just don't know, and people don't necessarily mean to offend sometimes when they do. So I wanted to say that, but my question was, when you were in that space before where you are now, and where it was challenging and people were staring at you, what helped you to stay strong and move through it and stay upbeat or positive, or whatever it was like? What helped you?
Well, that's okay. That's a good question, and you're cool. Like, but I will help you so that no one else is offended. But I am good. So, so yeah. So what helped me? So when I was thinking about this, I was like, wow, are you transgender? Are you gonna do this? Are you? I don't know. And I had these moments of I'm not sure, and I had to sit with that. And here's what I came up with. I was like, you know why? Because who you see as your example, I couldn't relate to them. And so I was like, you have to do this. Some people were, and I totally know why, very quiet about it. And all of a sudden they were a different gender. Totally understand why. But I was like, that I can't, that's not my way, right? And so I thought, oh, I know why I feel weird. I have to do this my way. What's right for me. And so I realized, unfortunately, what was right for me was I had to come out to the larger group of people I knew. And I think that's why I related to Chaz Bono, because Chaz Bono is famous. Okay. Right. Chaz Bono's parents are famous and people know who Chaz is, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm not famous, but I knew quite a few people. And so I thought, you're going to feel, for me, I was going to feel uncomfortable if I ran into somebody and then didn't approach it like that. Even talking about it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I thought, well, how do I make it feel like, if this feels uncomfortable, then maybe it's not right. So then I realized, okay, well, then you have to do it this way. You have to do it bigger. And so that's when I decided, okay, let's do a survey monkey and send it off to 30 of my closest people and say, here's the choices for my name, and like, and they were like, what?
Sorry.
So, I mean, I had to do it what felt right to me. And then it became easier. Then it became better because I was doing it my way, not somebody else's way. Honestly, I think that's where it was different, because I ended up having a fundraiser. Like, people all over Seattle donated items to me to have a yard sale on the West Seattle Yard Sale Day, which is the most awesome day of the year. And there's like 300 yard sales around the city, and they donated items to me, like phone, like camera. Crazy awesome items. And I had the yard sale to save money to have my top surgery.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was remarkable what I experienced. That's what I'm saying. Not everybody gets to have this story. And I understand that, but that was my story. And that's why, I don't know, it was just really, really amazing.
And how did that many people, I know that you already knew a lot of people, but were all those people that were donating things for the yard sale, were they also people you knew, or were they extensions of, say, other people that knew you, and then the word just kept spreading or something?
Yeah, it was that. It was people I know, and then it was like people I know whose friends that said, oh, I want to be a part of that. And then like, people I know who said, oh, I have transgender friends, who then donated, like gave, turned back and gave back. And it was like it was almost overwhelming how amazing it was. It was like, whoa. And I remember I had I also clients also donated. Like that was so crazy. I mean, they were also, because it's such a close, the company, you're taking care of people's animals, which are their family, right? So it's a very
Yeah.
close, it's a very emotional type, company. So they, people are your friends. So I remember this couple, these two women who are so awesome. I won't say their names, but if they were listening, they know how awesome they are. They said, "Hey, let's go to breakfast." And so I went to breakfast with them, and one of them looks at me and goes, "Don't get weird," and then hands me an envelope and handed me like $1,000 or something. And I was like, "What?
Oh my gosh.
What?" Like, how could I was like frozen for a couple months,
Oh,
actually. I kind of froze
oh,
for a minute because it was like so, like, I couldn't accept at the time. Um, I couldn't even fathom saving up $10,000 to have the top surgery, right? Like,
okay.
I couldn't even imagine that at the time. And so that's where I was in the hurt. That's where I was in my life. And,
Wow.
you know, from those times till now, it's like I'm a entirely different person, not because of my transition, but because of um, all of it, like my internal transition as well. Like, I mean, it's remarkable how different I am now. Um, and they helped me. Every single one of those people helped me get to where I'm at. Like they got a return on their investment, because I feel like I'm a better human. I was a good human then, but I feel like I'm even better now. And, you know, so I asked that woman who
Yeah.
gave me that money, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell this part. So like a
Yeah.
year later, we were both happened to be in this little restaurant, this little like bar restaurant, and I was like, hey, and she happened to be alone, without her wife, and I was like, I want to ask you something. Why did you give me that money? Like, what was going on, And she said, and I hope I quote her correctly, but she said, there are a lot of people who are brave in life, but very few people are courageous. And when I feel like I'm going to cry, but I'm not going to. But she said,
Oh,
when you see somebody being courageous, you honor it.
yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And it was like, wow. So whenever I see somebody being courageous and standing up and saying, hey, whatever it is, I try to in some way that I can honor it, and give them, even if it's a little, good job, or if it's donation, like,
Yeah.
because, yeah, anyway, yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Drew. Here's what I see, and I mean, just in terms of what's so awesome hearing your stories and about your experience, is that, like you said, you figured out you had to do it your way, and when it sounds to me like when you realized that and stepped into that, you were, of course, more in alignment with yourself, which
Mhm.
meant that other energy is going to flow a little more easily too as well. And then your openness about it and the way that you treated it as something just natural and not necessarily a secret. I mean, the fact that you did a survey to your friends for your name, that I mean, that's just kind of like sounds sort of like a fun, like, like if I'm going to do a little survey for my friends about my name. The fact that you tied those two kinds of things together, not that everyone has to do that, but I mean, it's just seems like you continued to be you throughout the process. And as you did that, then that opened the doorway for other people to get on board and say, oh, this doesn't have to be as as scary or different or whatever whatever emotions might come up for other people. This doesn't have to be that. Look at Drew. He's he's just doing his thing, and I don't know, that kind of energy is just always very inviting, and it sounds like you did that really well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. It was doing it. If it's the whole thing, where being your authentic self. So, you can't do it somebody else's way. You have to do it your way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
that's it right there. I mean, and then, after the transition, then I started doing other things my way. Life
Ooh.
became even cooler.
Okay, you know what? I think that is an excellent comment for us to go ahead and just take a little break. And when we come back, let's hear more about that, about how everything else became cooler after Drew, went ahead and fully transitioned. So stay right there, and we'll be right back with Drew Bensen.
No matter how your life looks today, your possibilities are endless. You deserve all the joy, peace, and excitement in life that you desire. Life doesn't come with a manual, and that's why personal coaching is so awesome. Moving forward is easier, creating a new reality for yourself, healing your mind and body. It's all possible. Visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com today to learn more and schedule your free consultation.
What books are you reading? Are you ready for a must-read? Winner of the Inspirational Book of the Year Award and international bestsellers, Dare to Dream, This Life Counts by Debbie Dashinger, as well as the acclaimed Wisdom to Success, The Surefire Secrets to Accomplish All Your Dreams. Buy the books from Amazon today. U.S. Book Review and Writer's Digest said these are critics' picks. By Debbie Dashinger, Dare to Dream and Wisdom to Success contain gems to live your life by.
Sometimes we wish we could practically do nothing and still feel better. Guess what? You kinda can. When you schedule a Reiki or guided meditation session, you can just be and receive and allow the energy to shift. There's relief. These energy sessions can be done alone or combined with a coaching session. Find out more at KimO'NeillCoaching.com and click on the Energy Work tab.
Do you have a published book that never reached its bestseller potential? Are you working on a book or ebook you hope to publish soon? Do you have a book locked inside, waiting to release your message to the world? Go to mybestsellerbook.com. My Bestseller Book will launch your book to a guaranteed bestseller status. Learn more at mybestsellerbook.com.
All right, we are back. You are listening to Every Day is a New Day, and I am your host, Kim O'Neill, speaking with Drew Bensen all about scary, awesome transitions. And so far, the conversation has mostly focused around how Drew is transgender, and he transitioned from being born a female into now being a male, and just how awesome all of that has been, and how he's his light is so bright. It's really cool. So Drew, right before the break, you had mentioned that things have gotten even cooler in your life, and I would love for you to share some of that with us.
Well, all right. So, so about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe, I left Seattle and came down to Southern California, which is the area that I was raised. But I moved down to the beach, and I stayed down there for a couple years. And then last November, well, I kept getting for 9 months prior, I kept getting this idea to buy an RV. And I was like, okay, I went and looked at them, and it was like, oh, you don't have that kind of deposit to put down on. Should you do that? That doesn't seem smart. No, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. And then it kept coming, the idea, the
okay. Inspiration.
And so the feeling. So finally. Yeah, well, almost like the vision or whatever. And then one in the summer, one night, I woke up in the middle of the night, whoa, and it was buy an RV. It was okay. So I ended up putting on Facebook, I keep getting haunted by this idea of buying an RV and living in it, and people were like, you should do it, and people are blowing up my page, whatever. And I was because I had this idea to. Well, I've been in a mastermind group. I don't know if you know what a mastermind group is, but an entrepreneurial mastermind group for 9 years.
Okay.
So at this point, it had been 6 years. Been 8 years. So in that group, I was talking to my people, and I was saying, I really want to travel around in an RV and inspire people and call it the Inspiration Station. The name's already taken, but the idea, and I was like, I really want to do that. So when I got haunted by this, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go check it out. And so I started looking into it, and I said to myself, you know what, you're not going to push this, but you're going to see how easy, like see if it's going to naturally happen.
Okay.
Well, it was so easy to go and buy. I went and looked at this truck, and it was the easiest purchase I've ever made in my life. It was like they called back the next day and gave me an even lower interest rate. It was like wild. It was so easy. And then I went and looked at the RV. I had been looking at the Winnebagos, and basically it was scary. I mean, got rid of everything. In fact, I even got out of my apartment before I got into the RV. I just knew. I was like, this doesn't work. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? You've done scarier things. Let's just see what happens. Why not?
Nice.
I'm an entrepreneur. I can work from anywhere. But there's one thing to say you can work from anywhere, and there's another thing to do it. And so I ended up buying a 24-foot Winnebago and moved in November and hit the road, and have been traveling around in it ever since.
Wait, just this last November?
Yeah, I've been in it for, 9 months?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds like the previous scary, awesome things that you'd done really helped to support you in making this scary, awesome transition.
Yeah, well, because here's the thing. When I was even transitioning the first time, I didn't trust my inner voice. I had to find support systems like a therapist around me. I mean, therapy's good, but I had to find people to help me process things. And what I started doing after therapy, during therapy, was learning tools to be able to do this myself. And so I've been working on myself to do that this whole time. And I have different tools. I have like I said, the mastermind group. I have a mentor. And I started trusting my own instincts, my own inner voice. And it wasn't just, let me sell off everything, tomorrow and go buy an RV. I really listened to myself. It's like, what do you really want? What do you, and so that they're not as scary now because I trust myself, and I am really in tune. I'm really in tune with who I am. And,
awesome.
And it wasn't like I'm going to get an RV to run away from anything. It was like, I think that'd be super cool. Why not? Let's do it. It was like my dog and I are cruising around, I mean, it's been amazing. And and scary because, I was like, I got in the RV. I'm like at an RV park, and I went, what have you done? You've just brought yourself into potentially dangerous waters, because if people find out you're transgender, or they might hurt you. And, of course I processed all that, and it was like, be brave. Be smart, just like street smarts, but be brave. And it has been remarkable. I mean, I went to a full-time RV entrepreneurial summit.
Oh, wow.
Full-time RV entrepreneurial summit in February in Texas. Up until that point, it was 4 months in. I had to really learn how to do this whole RV thing. Have to, there's a learning curve. Okay. But I said to my grandma, who's 90 at the time, I said, Grandma, I'm going to go to Texas for this thing. And she goes, oh, really? And what that means, she used to live in an RV. She used to have a big old Class A. And so she loves them. And my uncle's out in Texas, and she's been wanting to see him, but she couldn't get to him because she can't do the layover anymore. Okay. And so I took her with me. We went on a 4-week trip to Texas. So here's this, transgender man, 40 years old, 43 years old, and a 90-year-old grandma going off on this trip for 4 weeks. It was remarkable.
That's so cool. Oh,
I'm a really positive just person. My grandma is the most positive person. It was amazing. And she's my biggest fan. It was amazing. Yeah.
I believe I saw some of those photos, and it looked like just a time of wonderful family memories.
Oh yeah, it was so cool. It taught me a lot. So, I realized the last year and a half prior to that, I had spent a lot of time alone because I was just deciding to redirect my life. And I said, I want a different future. I want to change this. And so I had done, like I said, I'm a software salesperson. I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs typically can overwork, which I can do. And so I realized, I'm a very people person too. And I realized I was kind of isolating myself. And so when grandma went on the road with me, oh, she's just, she's got her fun hats on. People are like just smiling at us. And it just really opened me back up to just being more who I am again. So it's like you can go through these ebb and flows, where you kind of, almost like I forget who you are. And it's like, step back into who you are. And so I step back into who I am. And so, it's been remarkable. And so I've gone to several conferences, even in this last 6 months, and just, I'm having an amazing time. In fact, I leave tomorrow for a trip from Southern California up to Seattle for like 2 or 3 months, and maybe Canada. I don't know.
Wow. Is there any place that's like on your bucket list that you haven't traveled to yet in your RV?
Oh. So here's the thing. I would just love to be at the ocean. I would just love to sit at the ocean the whole time. So if in Mexico, if I could go down there and feel safe, because I'm a little scared. So I love Mexico, but like to go on the RV and like sit on the beach down there, I would totally be all in.
Oh,
absolutely. I want to stop it. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe next, coming around the fall or next year. But I would also love to go down to Florida and check that out. I'm not trying to be near any snow or ice. Let's just get that out.
Okay, got it.
I'm chasing the sun for sure. I went to
Drew,
Santa
let me
Fe.
ask. Santa Fe?
Yeah, Santa Fe is amazing. So go ahead. What was your question?
I was just going to ask you, what inspires you?
Ooh, what inspires me? I love people. I'm inspired by, well, first of all, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an inventor. So ideas are like, I can't stop them for the most part.
Okay.
Which is good.
You're an inventor? Can I ask what you invented?
Well, I haven't invented things yet. They just come to me. Like I've invented ideas, I've written them down, and they're in the store. Okay. So like I know that that's in my I want to do that so bad. So I know that's in my future.
Okay.
So there's that. That makes me like feel uplifted. I love talking with people, and I love talking with people like in a deep way. So like if somebody wants to talk business stuff, like entrepreneurial stuff, oh, I'm on fire. I will talk about that. I'm inspired by people stepping into what they want to, their true selves.
Yeah.
So, I started the dog walking business and pet sitting business, and I love animals. But what's really interesting is that I loved helping the people so that they could go, they knew their animals were cared for. So I realized that it was the people connection that was my thing. And so that's why I got more animal people to come be with the animals. Okay. And I connect with the people. So, I'm easily inspired also. Like just waking up every day.
It sounds like a connection.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
A connection with people.
Articulating that for me.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So
yeah, absolutely. That's actually true. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you're doing, or maybe you didn't say this earlier, but I know this about you, that you're doing more speaking and retreats and that kind of thing. Would you like to share anything about that, or future talks that you're giving? Would you like to share any of that with our audience today?
Okay, so you cut out, but I think I got the end of that. So I'll tell you what I just did because it was super cool. I went to Comic-Con in Denver, and I spoke on a panel. Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh. A friend of mine said, actually, I met her at the Entrepreneurial Summit, the RV Full-Time Entrepreneurial Summit in February, and she wrote me and said, hey, you want to go to Comic-Con to sit on a panel? Do you want to go to Comic-Con? Sit on a panel or something. I go, yes. Why? Like what are we talking about? Because it could be anything.
Right.
And it was about gender and writing and non-binary stuff, like in in writing. So it was about the authors and stuff like that. So I was on this panel with like these authors, and I'm like, I'm the only one that's not an author, but I'm transgender. So it was pretty cool though. It was really, really neat to be there. I've done a lot of like talks at University of Irvine. I've sat on panels there and talked to doctors or pre-med students and pre-med like nurses and doctors about just being transgender and like my experience have been like in my medical experiences and stuff like that. I went to Santa Fe, like I was saying, to do the Mike Dooley Infinite Possibilities, which I think you're also.
I am.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So I did a couple one-on-ones with that, and I'm actually just starting that. I just got the certification in May. So I'm doing my first workshop in July in Seattle, but I'll be doing more in the Pacific Northwest. And like I said, possibly, actually I'm going to go up to Canada and do one up there. And I'm literally right now, things are pretty open, but it's so funny because I'm at peace with it. Like I know big, amazing things are coming, and I'm totally at peace with like where things are and where they're going. So,
it's all you. Like you generated this momentum. You opened the doors for things to flow in, and like it blows my mind that it's only been a month and a half since you decided to come out to the world, and all the things that have happened since then.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to make this contract with the universe, and I'm terrified. And as soon as I did, within like the next day or something, like I was getting like, hey, do you want to do this interview, this lunch and learn with this huge corporation? I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to, do this? Do you want to do that? And it's like, what an honor. Absolutely. Yes.
Drew, if people want to get in contact with you, maybe they want to attend one of your retreats, or they want to book you to do speaking for their event or whatever, what is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm just getting my website up. It's drewbensen.com. That's DREWBENSEN. And it'll be up pretty soon where the forums are on there. Also, my email is on there. You can always get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a public Instagram, which is really fun. It's called Positively Real Life. And that's all the public travels and stuff. So that one is pretty fun because it's all like what I'm doing on the road, and it's all public.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, you know what, Drew, is there anything that you would like people to know that are going through a transition? Maybe it's transgender, or maybe it's something different, but is there any words of inspiration or wisdom that you would like to share with them to just really support them and help, them to continue on their journey?
Well, I would say, sometimes we're looking for support in certain people, but it may be in other people. So there will be a support somewhere. If it's not the person you expected it from, like your family, there is somebody somewhere else. So seek out support for sure. I would say that, and then really, what's right for you inside of you, like and the more you sit with that and trust that things are going to be okay. And in my opinion, if you are true to who you are, but I would definitely say seek out that support if you need it from anywhere that you can find it. So, like I said, if it's not from people that you expect it from, there are people out there and that love you and that think that you are perfect and that will love and accept you. And you just go, looking until you find them, and you will.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And on the flip side, what can you share with people who have maybe just encountered someone in their life, someone that they knew as, one gender, and all of a sudden, they now have this new information that this person is going to transition and undergo this change, and maybe it's a challenge for them to really process that new information. Is there anything you'd like to share with them to help them, or be able to move through that?
Well, yeah, I mean, reaching out to the person is good. I think that where the problem, where the uncomfortableness happens is that you're going to mess up. So some people, the reason somebody would be upset if you messed up their pronoun is because they're hurt. I mean, I'm going to speak for other people, but it's like you want to defend yourself because you feel people are gonna hurt you. So if you mess up, just either say sorry and move on. So
Nice.
we're all gonna mess up. I mess up. I call myself my old name in my head sometimes. I mean, we all mess up. So just show up at least, you know. And then if you're really struggling with it, there also are people out there that you can talk to that you know will be able to help you process that. And honestly, like it takes time sometimes, but really it's just we're just humans. We're just living the best life that we can, and you know it really, not to be harsh, but it really has nothing to do with you. With somebody else's, if they're transitioning, it has to do with them. So if you're having trouble with it, then maybe look at what's going on with you to see if maybe you can heal whatever it is that may be happening with you, and then it'll them. So.
That is so excellent. I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely. Anything that triggers something in us is really just a reflection that there's something within us to process or to heal. So that's a great one. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, we are at the end of our show, and I have so thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you. Is there anything else before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say that we didn't already touch on?
I think it was great. I'm happy with what we talked about, and yeah, I think it was great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome, absolutely. Well, for all those listening, thank you for being here, and let us know your thoughts. How has this show impacted you? Do you know someone that's transgender? Maybe you're transgender, or maybe you're going through some other big, scary change. You are not alone. You're so not alone. Some changes are visible on the outside, but so many changes are not. There's something that we go through internally, and support is always a really, really good thing. And it doesn't always come from those people who are just right in front of us. So like Drew said, if you don't already have support, then be deliberate and seek them out. And absolutely, you will find some people to support you on your journey. If you would like to find out about future shows for the Everyday is a New Day show, or about me and the coaching and things that I do, you can go to KimO'NeillCoaching.com, and O'Neill is Oneill, KimO'NeillCoaching.com. And as Drew said, he is working on his website. You can go to DrewBensen.com, and that's Bensen, BENSEN.com, or find him on Instagram at Positively Real Life. And with that said, I hope that you will remember every day is always a new day. Ask yourself, what are you saying yes to today? I hope you have a wonderful day, and until next time.